Rap, tap, tap, said the man in the wall. Won't you let me in, little piggies, so we can talk about all this juicy new lore in the new quest? That's right, boys and girls. Welcome back. Today we're talking about the Chains of Harrow. This video will be a little like the one I did for the War Within, where I'll be going over exactly what happened in the quest with lore highlights and a sprinkling of speculation here and there. As with last time, if you'd like to see my live unfiltered reactions to this quest, you can head on over to the video in front of your eye holes right now. Now that's out of the way, on with the show! So there you are, going about your business aboard your orbiter, maybe finally cleaning the gunk out of that door before you're alerted via creeptastic audio transmission of a conversation between a medium and someone called Rel to something happening on a seemingly abandoned Steel Meridian ship orbiting Earth. Being the industrious little supernatural investigators that the Tenno are, you are off like a shot to get murdered by whatever horrific abomination just tried to make out with your ear holes. Quite predictably, everyone is dead, and the ship is on low power and thereby sufficiently dark and spooky enough to double as a haunted house, complete with ominous messages smeared on the wall with jam. Just look at that calligraphy. You are then contacted by a member of the Red Veil named Palladino, apparently a Big Red Hood fan, who quite understandably asks to be rescued from this delightful place, before explaining that the Veil is in chaos after their sacred muse has vanished. Fanatics going nuts? Say it ain't so. You eventually catch up to Palladino, who is apparently walking her Kavat Rook, who is the bestest boy, yes he is, and are immediately attacked by a horde of entranced, shadowy Red Veil members. After fending off the cast of MJ's Thriller video, you take Palladino to a Steel Meridian base on Earth named Iron Wake, where she explains that she is the Veil's spiritual medium, and that the entity named Rel was the basis of the founding of her syndicate and the focus of their fanaticism. Rel has apparently vamoosed from his vessel and is wreaking havoc, causing members of the Red Veil to push their role of resident nutcases a little further into the definition. Now, Rel was the focus of a prequel comic released shortly before the quest, which gave us a little insight into the events aboard the Zariman 10-0, and how Rel himself came to be the messiah to a bunch of gimps. In the comic, it becomes apparent that Rel falls on the autism spectrum, and that some of the other Tenno ousted him for being different. Kids are assholes in any time period, apparently. The comic features some sort of device which actually turns out to be Rel's version of a fidget spinner called a Donda. Look guys, DE can be hip and cool too. Back to the present, Palladino requests that you retrieve the Donda so she can attempt to calm his ass down. You go in search of the gizmo on a Corpus ship and find said ship in a similar state to the previous one. Whilst you search, Lotus and Palladino have a chat, which leads to, for me at least, a long-awaited confirmation that Margulis and Lotus are definitely not one and the same. It also comes to light that Margulis may not have been as benevolent as she's been made out to be, as she too rejected Rel for his differences. I've got a theory on why, but more on that in a bit. As the search continues, you begin to hear a voice echoing about the ship, describing someone known only as the Man in the Wall. Let's call him Wally for now. Hey, come on, it's better than Temitwa. The voice eventually leads to a room full of corpses, with the Donda sitting in the middle. Okay, red flag, but when has that ever stopped us before? After you pick it up, you are attacked by a manifestation of Rel himself, who turns out to be pretty damn powerful, and you have to Scooby-Doo the hell out of there. Now personally, I think the reason Rel is so dangerous here is because DE is possibly alluding to a correlation between emotions and transference powers. This would certainly explain why the sainted Margulis, concerned for the safety of the other Tenno, might have been reticent about training somebody with a less than predictable mind. Some scrawled messages later in the quest may even suggest that Rel was actually the Tenno that blinded Margulis, which might explain why she kicked him out on his arse. Still, it's a shitty thing to do, but when you're dealing with angsty hormonal super teens who may or may not have cost you your sight, I can kind of understand the reasoning. Back at Iron Wake, Palladino manages to contact Rel, and you get to experience a minigame representation of his past with his mother, Kay, attempting to help him recognise emotions through a card game. This causes Lotus to theorise that Rel's manifestations are splinters of transference energy all split from his original mind, and suggests that they might be able to capture and reconstitute them. Ordis then pipes up, presumably midway through a Bill Murray movie marathon, that Samaris' kinetic siphon traps might do the trick, and you head off to bust some ghosts. Who are you gonna call? Quite interestingly, before the seance, Palladino makes reference to Rel swallowing the poison stars so we would not, we being the Red Veil or humanity or whatever. It's a long shot, but this might indicate a link between the Void as a dangerous entity and the questionable lunchtime refreshment we now call Kuva. They may be unrelated, but an other world that drives people mad and what may be essentially a Philosopher's Stone, probably created in a less than ethically sound way, let's be honest, I'd say have a decent chance at sharing the same boat, as it were. Moving back to the quest, as you potter about the solar system, rounding up the manifestations of Rel's emotions, making sure not to cross the streams of course, Lotus and Palladino butt heads over the nature of the Void, with Lotus taking the scientific approach and Palladino, through her communing with Rel, is convinced of it being an ancient entity that is old as stars, ergo Wally. I mean, I get the resistance to the concept of some all-powerful being living outside the fringes of perception, but it sort of explains this though, doesn't it, Space Mum? Through some more dialogue between Dish Towel and Mumsy, we discover that Rel has survived all this time outside of the dream by shedding his human form and depositing his consciousness inside his Warframe, which of course turns out to be the shiny new space pope Harrow. This is interesting because it straight up confirms that Tenno are indeed mortal and will age and die, and that their current childlike state is just due to spending so long in cryosleep. Not a big reveal, but another piece to this ever-expanding puzzle. After all this tiring ghost busting, Palladino sends you off to a Red Veil temple in the Void to perform one final act of mercy for Rel by releasing him from his duty as a guard against Wally by destroying Harrow and setting the poor bastard free. You then get to enjoy a stroll through the Red Veil's slightly on fire botanical garden, and then descend to the shrine in your squishy human bod to where Rel is kept for the final confrontation. You begin to shatter the chains of Harrow before it becomes apparent that a malevolent being is inhabiting the Warframe alongside Rel, ergo Wally. After a lengthy and irritating fight, scrambling around dodging fireballs and disintegrating Red Veil nutters, I don't care how many times you shoehorn operator mode in DE, it's still not fun, you finally destroy Harrow and Rel's spirit is free to move on, with Wally nowhere to be found. Or is he? After returning to your ship, you are greeted with the shock in the form of the grinning, dark-eyed visage of your own ugly operator mug perched on the market console that only says 2 words! Don't kiddo me, you creepy little fucker. Get your feet off the furniture. Honestly, some people. Now, Wally is a bit of a mystery here. We don't hear a great deal from him, but it does seem that the messages on the wall are written from his perspective, attempting to shame the Tenno for their treatment of Rel. This makes his motivations unclear, but I suppose that's to be expected. Aside from that little teaser at the end of The War Within, this is his first appearance. I'm getting a chaotic trickster god vibe from him right now, but as always, time will tell. This introduction makes me think that DE wants to broaden their options for big bads in the Warframe universe, which is sort of disappointing, to be honest. I mean, not in the long run. Hey, any story is a blessing with this game, but it feels like just yesterday we had this mysterious looming threat of hyper-adaptive killer robots, and now we're already lining up the next bad guy. Typical DE, I guess. Half-bake an idea and then get excited about a new one. Oh well, maybe this will be the time they prove me wrong. Probably not, though. Hello again everyone, and thank you for watching this almost spectacular Quest Special Deluxe Extraordinaire! If you enjoyed the mild feeling of unease brought about by this video, then please, by all means, press the like button, and if you'd like to experience a more persisting sense of agita, anxiety, and apprehension, then you can subscribe to my channel for regular updates. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Luke, this has been Loreframe, and you have been wonderful. Peace out, bitches!